Hello, Facebook. I'm Dr. Brett Spradlin. This is Divine Design Natural Health, and we are live. Out of control, just animals here. We are live here at the most excellent human body shop, aka Divine Design Natural Health. Now, I came up with this title. Actually, I want to give a shout to Jamie Hayes, if you're out there, Jamie Johnson, if you're out there, because she had typed into some comments one time on one of the feeds, Divine Design is the most excellent human body shop. And I thought that would be a great title. So Jamie, I'm stealing from you, but I'm not really stealing, I'm giving you credit. So if you're listening out there, we appreciate you. We appreciate your rainbow butterflyness, because you're great. So I came up with this title because I thought, we all take our cars to the body shop. We all know that cars need maintenance. They need tires. Doesn't matter how well you take care of them, right? Time and weather and bird poo and all this stuff happens, right? So I thought, everybody understands the analogy of a car. Every guy gets the analogy of if you don't change the oil, things are going to break down. If you don't put gas in the car, it's not going to go anywhere. Well, so I thought, most excellent human body shop. That would be a great, great, great title to kind of compare what we do to so many other practitioners. So some of this is going to be a review from some information that I pulled out of a class I did back in April called Earth Day in Ancient Medicine, where we kind of went through the evolution of, I hate the word evolution, but we went through the progression of medicine. Like, where did medicine come from? Does anybody in that class? No? That was back in April. Good. So you won't know part of this is a rerun, so this is good. So I just want to tear into that really fast, and then we'll answer some questions about things, and we'll show you exactly why how everything that we do here fits all of the categories that people are looking for. What are some of the categories, I should say this, what are the categories that people are looking for in healthcare now? What are some of the buzzwords? You hear them, you know what I'm talking about. I'll mention one and you'll go, oh. What are some of the buzzwords? If somebody's looking for kind of a more natural approach, what are the buzzwords?
Holistic.
That's one. Yep. See, when I said you get one and you go, oh yeah, that's what I'm talking about. What are some other words that are kind of synonymous?
Homeopathy.
He said holistic was the very first one. Everybody would agree with that? Okay. Now, hold on. Yep, and that's good. Yes, hold that thought. Holistic. By a show of hands, does anyone in this room actually know what that word means?
Addressing your whole body issues.
That's a good thought. What were you going to say? Addressing whole body issues. I'll repeat it for Facebook.
I just thought I think of all natural, but that's probably not a good answer.
Okay.
Internal and external factors. It's not just
internal.
Holistic is addressing
internal and external factors. Okay. So see where some of we've got a bunch of people in this room, and you all hear that word, holistic. What does it mean, right? So that's good. Those are some good options. And Claire, you said homeopathic.
Yeah. We both did kind of
Yeah.
the same thing.
Yep. Exactly. Does anybody in this room know what homeopathic means?
Home remedies.
Close. Can be.
I had a friend who is his
Home
mom's a
remedies.
doctor of homeopathy.
Yeah. Doctor of homeopathy. So it can be home remedies.
She
Can
used
be.
to mix up special waters
Yep.
for him to drink.
Used to mix up special waters for a friend of
She
yours.
had a machine that would duplicate herbal powers.
Yep. Herbal powers, well, like wonder powers. Perfect. So yeah, so there are these misunderstandings, or there are these words, I should say, that we kind of throw around. What are some other words that are on those?
Naturopathic.
Naturopathic, that's another one I'm looking for. As far as, now what does that mean? Anybody? Does anybody have anything else to say about homeopathic? Like, what does homeopathic mean? You hear these words referred to and kind of interchangeably used. Yes or no? Mm-hmm. Right? Yeah. So we're going to address some of these. Say what?
Just a more natural approach.
A more natural approach. The words are all kind of thrown around as far as kind of for a more natural approach, because you get all the time, at least I do, and you guys, I know you talk to other people, and everybody says, well, I don't want to take the drugs, or I know the drugs are bad, or well, yeah, I'm taking the drugs, but I don't really want to take the drugs, or I want to get off the drugs. Am I right or am I right? I mean, everybody that you talk to and everybody that you know, you're here.
The word I've been hearing a lot lately is raw.
Raw, as far as like raw doctors or raw medicine?
Raw vegetables,
Oh,
raw
yeah.
medicine, raw this and raw that.
Oh yeah, and I agree. But like the what I'm saying about the as far as medicine goes, everybody's looking for a more natural approach because we've seen what's happened in the last 20, 30, 40, 50 years in the last generation of people that came and went since World War I, World War II. Everybody's looking for a more natural approach. So now you have holistic doctors, you have holistic medical doctors, right? Does anybody know what that means? You've heard the term, yes? Huh?
Alternative remedies.
Alternative remedies? Okay. So you've heard the terms, yes. I'm just making sure that we're all on the same page. I'm kind of setting the stage here, you know, plowing the road so that we can all kind of go down the smooth road. Okay. Other things. You've all heard the differences between like medical doctors and, acupuncturists. And what's the difference between, here's a good one, what's the difference between how many types of medical doctors are there in training? I shouldn't say how many specialists, that's not what I'm saying. How many types of training in medical doctor are available in the United States? Or how many doctorate health professionals are there in the United States? How many categories? Does anybody know this?
Like doctor of osteopathic medicine.
Doctor of osteopathic is a DO, yes.
MD.
Then there's MDs, there's medical doctors. Both of those are considered medical doctors. In other words, they do drugs, they do surgery. That's what medical doctor in this country means. So I'm going to explain why when people come to me or when you guys are having family reunions or whatever, and then maybe, if we have time, maybe I'll tell you about my family reunion just recently. Very similar to some of the others I heard about over Labor Day or summer. I'll explain how the differences between natural health and then medical. Would anybody be interested in hearing any of that?
Sure.
Ooh, okay, good. Now, before I get into this, I want to show this video because I want to give Gerald a shout out. Gerald Rolise is a good friend of mine. I love this guy. We think a lot alike. I met him probably about 1.5 years ago. He is a former, I'm telling you this because I'm thinking about having him come speak here at some point. Not here, but in Chattanooga or in Cleveland or right across the street here at the COGOP, and we'll rent out that banquet hall. And we'll just bring doctors and patients from Atlanta to Asheville to Chattanooga, and we'll just say, hey, here's this guy. He's got a very interesting story. I think you all ought to hear it. And Gerald's story is that of a UC Berkeley grad who got, I think, a double major. I forget what he studied. But then he went on to work for a pharmaceutical company as a drug rep. Does everybody know what a drug rep does? What does a drug rep do? Anybody?
Takes drugs and doctors and tries to get them to sample it out to their patients.
Okay, and why do they do that? They take the drugs to the doctors and
Familiarize the market.
yep. And what's the background of a drug rep? In most cases, what's their background?
Pharmaceuticals.
They got a little bit of training, usually business.
Some money, yeah.
Usually business or cheerleading or I don't mean that negatively. I'm just saying they don't, you don't see too many drug reps that aren't able to hold a conversation with a doctor, if you follow what I'm saying. And I worked in a hospital for 3 years, and I would always ask the drug reps, oh, what's your background, whatever. Oh, I did business. Oh, you didn't do chemistry? You didn't do biology? You didn't do pre-med? How do you know what you're saying? Oh, they train you. I always thought that was weird. I always thought that was interesting. But some drug reps have a lot of training. Like Gerald, for instance, did a lot of, I think he was molecular biology, I want to say, or I can't remember exactly. But anyway, Gerald is a friend of mine. We did a seminar this weekend. I took the girls to listen to Gerald speak. Gerald now he used to be a drug rep, a pharmaceutical rep. Now he is a representative for the baddest nutrition company on the planet. You may have heard of it. It's called Standard Process, which is the biggest nutritional and the longest running. They've been around 90 years. That's just one of the companies that we carry here, one of 10 or 15 companies that we carry here. They've been around about 90 years. What Gerald did was he had a major turnaround, and he wrote a book called The Pharmaceutical Myth. And so to kind of parlay into what we're talking about here and just drive a spike between we're here, this is what we've done for 50, 60, 80 years. Here's where here's where we're going. Because if you ever want to get into the promised land, folks, what place do you have to leave? Egypt. Egypt's got the pyramids. They've got some white coats. They've got some fancy machines. They've got some temples. They've got some procedures. They've got some interesting things that have developed over thousands of years. They've got some people that seem to know what they're talking about. They've got the Pharaoh, right? But I want to make sure that everybody who sees what's happening in medicine within the next few months, as we reveal, as you see kind of the schedule that we've come up with for the WellWorks courses and things, the WellWorks events and things like that, as we progress and go, I want everybody to understand what's going on in the near future. So for you to understand the future, you got to understand the past. So we're going to show this here, and I just kind of want everybody to get a feel for Gerald. He's a really heartfelt speaker. He's a very educated fella. He wrote this great book, Pharmaceutical Myth, and this is what it's all. This is what it's talking about. This is kind of a video to talk about that book, and I want you to hear his story. I thought this would be good for this class.
I had a career as a pharmaceutical sales rep. It's a posh job. I had flexible working hours. I had a company car, and I had an entertainment budget. And I had many deals where it just consisted of me paying for lunch for the offices, and the doctor would agree to prescribe that drug. And I bought out doctors. I was selling a medicine. However, I never really saw people getting well. Something is wrong with this system. Something was wrong with my job. If they stay sick and continue to be prescribed the medication, the pharmaceutical companies continue to generate profit until they've actually passed on. I left the industry and I went ahead and studied nutrition. And I started to understand that every disease has a link to some nutritional deficiency, whether it's just one nutrient or whether it's a whole bunch. People were actually getting sick because they were undernourished. What they really require is food. If you feed them food, they'll recover. But if you feed them a pharmaceutical, then all they're going to do is suppress symptoms. The American population actually represents the most highly medicated society across the globe. Yet, in terms of you look at health overall, we are far from being number one. So the fact that we are taking so many pharmaceuticals, yet our health is so poor, is exemplary of the pharmaceutical myth. There are a lot of people out there who are sick or have chronic illness or disease, and they don't have the right answers as to how to improve their health. And that's the reason why I wrote this book. It's if they truly want to know how to live healthy and unmedicated, the action steps in this book is going to help them guide them in that direction. When we can actually restore our health, we can live a healthier life. We can, enjoy life even more, be happy, and more importantly, we can also guarantee that our children and our grandchildren have a chance to live a healthy life. And ultimately, that's what we should strive to provide, is a world and a way of living that's going to remove and obliterate all disease and illness through example.
I wanted to give him a little shout out. He's a heck of a teacher. He's brought thunder, and he knows what's going on with health. He knows what's going on with the other side of it, and he's been on both sides of it. Kind of like me, I worked in a hospital for 3 years before I knew any of this. Before I, kind of like he said, I saw a lot of people come in, but I saw very few people get better. And I wondered, there has to be a better way. There has to be something I'm missing here. What do they do? What am I missing? Why are people not getting better? So does anybody relate to this? Does anybody anybody think that that's accurate? Everybody's nodding?
I agree.
Yeah. You've seen it. If not in your parents, you've seen it in your siblings or your children. Yeah. I mean, even at this stage, yeah, you can view it in some of, and in the children, all of the children. Now, let me ask you a few questions just to kind of launch into this. America has more drugs than any other country. Yes or no?
Yes.
Yes. America pretty much has more surgeries than any other country. Yes. How are we doing on vaccines in the United States? More or less?
Probably too many.
There's, I think, 300. Last I knew, yeah. 300 vaccines currently in the development pipeline right now. 300, okay? On top of the measles and the chicken pox and all the stuff, right? Which, would you rather have your kids have chicken pox or a lifelong problem that, well, we won't get into that right now because I don't want to We won't get into that right now. However, we have all these procedures, correct? We've got all the drugs, all the vaccines, all the procedures. We've got all of the surgeries, right? Yes, everybody would agree with that. So, are we getting healthier, or are we getting sicker? Everyone you know knows that, right? Does anybody know anybody that would argue that we're getting healthier? I'm just out of curiosity, out of sheer curiosity.
The thing that makes the myth powerful is the fact that we're able to extend our lives through all of the medicines that we're given.
Oh, but are we? That's what we're told.
Well, I mean,
That's
that's
what
what
we're
the actuarial tables say.
Well, but listen, yeah, you can carve out a stent spot in somebody's heart.
People are living longer because,
Life extension technology.
Right.
Right. Are they living better, though? Are they healthier? Lifespan has increased, perhaps, depending on where you look, but has life quality increased?
They don't feel good still.
They feel like crap.
Right.
They might live to be 82 years old, but from 75 to 82, the last 7 years they spent in a nursing home. You have to think about that. With somebody else taking care of them, Medicare getting milking it dry, their kids' inheritance getting. I've read somewhere, I could be wrong on this, but the average nursing home is $2,000 to $4,000 a month. Is that right? Average. Is that about right?
Alzheimer's more.
Alzheimer's is more, yeah. I mean, Alzheimer's is. You can come on in, sir. Come on in. So I just want to peel through this, and I just want to. We're gonna cover a lot of information. If I want to get you guys out of here on time, we are not going to get through all this. So just real quick, most excellent human body shop. I want you to consider this. If you have a car, do you want to put good gas in it, or you want to put dirty gas? You want to put rusty gas? No. No, good gas, obviously. So consider this, that you have a very high performance machine, okay, and that this machine costs billions, let's say millions, but let's say billions of dollars to produce, okay? This would be a huge machine, billions of dollars to produce, but then billions of dollars, what if you had to reproduce it? It costs billions and billions and billions more. Consider also that this machine is absolutely capable of producing incredible things, going incredible places. Maybe that machine might even be able to, I don't know, change the world. Maybe that machine can save a life. Maybe that machine can stop someone from jumping off a building. I mean, what fuel would you put in this veritable, I mean, it's an irreplaceable machine. What fuel would you put in this machine? Expensive, high performance? It's a high performance machine. What would you do? How would you take care of it? Would you polish it? Would you take care of it? Would you grease the fittings if grease would even exist for $1 billion machine? Grease fittings. What would you do to maximize its full potential? What steps would you go through to contribute to the long-term survival of that machine? Costs billions of dollars to reproduce. There aren't many machines out there that would be billions of dollars. I mean, can anybody think of one? Maybe a cruise ship or something? Maybe a shuttle that, I don't know, rockets? You are that machine. Think about that. And you are capable of being and doing more than you have ever been allowed to believe. Would anyone disagree with that? How would you reproduce a human body? You couldn't, could you? I mean, we just figured out the genome years ago. Well, publicly, we figured out the genome. So here comes all the information I'm going to run through real quick. I don't want to get too far off track, but I want you to keep that in the back of your mind. So there are two varying worldviews. There's the worldview that man will figure everything out. There's the worldview that medicine will fix every problem. There's the worldview, how are we doing on that, by the way? Is medicine fixing every problem? Autoimmune diseases just alone skyrocketed, went out of control. Neurodegenerative disorders, epidemics like Alzheimer's, Parkinson's, autism, Asperger's, autism spectrum disorders, ASD, going off the charts. Increasing or decreasing? Everybody knows. We talked about last week, autism. How many of you in here know autistic kids? And then how many of you, out of those, how many of are autistic females? There's a reason why. We didn't get into it last week. We're definitely not going to get into it on the video. There's that worldview, the medicine is going to fix everything, which we know is screwed up. Or there's a worldview that your body can heal from anything. If you get ahead of the drugs, get ahead of the surgery. So there are we talked about 2 types of medical doctors, but there are 3 or 4 types of credentialed health professionals with doctorate degrees in the United States. We talked about medical doctors. We talked about doctors of osteopathy. What's another one? Ah, thank you. Chiropractic. Doctor of chiropractic, which is what I am. There are others, depending on there are naturopathic doctors too. That's a credentialed ND. Those are NDs, not to be confused with the similarly sounding MDs. So naturopathic doctors, there are those, but those are only licensed in a number of states, a smaller number of states, 17, maybe 20 states now, perhaps. Huh? Yeah, not here, not in Tennessee, no way. And then there are other professions heading towards doctoratehood, like physical therapists, DPTs, doctors of physical therapy. So there are doctorates becoming. I just found out a little while ago, last week, that there's a nurse practitioner degree now. So you can get doctors. I did not know that. So there are multiple allied health professionals coming to the scene with all doctorate degrees. The biggest ones we'll talk about, MDs. That stands for medical doctor. This may come as old news to some people, but that's the most mainstream. That's the most well-known. Any idea why? Where do you see medicine? Everywhere. Where do you see TV? Would be a huge part of. I grew up watching certain shows, and it was every doctor you saw was a medical doctor. So it's very mainstream, very well done. Focuses on sick care, focuses on diagnosis and treatment of disease pathology with drugs and surgery. Okay. JAMA, the Journal of the American Medical Association, very, very reputable, very well-known medical journal, says that over 100,000 people per year die of properly prescribed drugs. And of all types of practices, medicine carries the highest risk as reflected in malpractice insurance rates. Does anybody know that? Your doctor's malpractice rates are very, very, very high. Why? Well, I was going to get into this later. We'll get into it right now. What are the things that medical doctors can do? Say it louder. What
was the case?
can do? Can do.
They can prescribe drugs.
Or they can prescribe drugs, or
They can diagnose.
huh?
They can diagnose.
Yeah, but the 2 things that they can do for you,
They can have
surgery.
the surgery.
Yep. So 2 things. So in their defense, I'm not here to throw anybody under the bus. In their defense, medical doctors, when people go to their doctor and they get prescribed a drug or something, and then they come to me and they say, well, I went to my medical doctor and all he wants to do is give me
Medicine.
That's all I hear. I hear that regularly. My response to them is, it's not his fault. What do you mean it's not his fault? That's what his license says he can do. That's what the government says. That's what the law says he can do. You're going to a plumber and you're asking to get your window replaced. You're wanting this product, but that professional cannot give you that product. By law, he is required to give you drugs or surgery. That's it. Now, he can order a procedure, but what does the procedure lead to?
Same thing.
Or, correct. You can order an X-ray or a CAT scan or an MRI, right? But it's going to lead to a diagnosis or something that may not even be a diagnosis. It's just, oh, you've got gastritis, inflammation in the stomach. Does that make sense? So, drugs and surgery. So if you prescribe a drug which is a poisonous chemical to the human body, yes or no? Yes. Are there safe drugs?
No.
No? Is there a drug that cures a disease?
No.
What do you mean? There's millions. How could there not be one that cures a disease?
Here's a symptom, but not a cause.
How cured a symptom? Can't cure a symptom. Is there a drug that has no side effects?
No.
Now you see why the actuarial tables, Claire. You'll see why the insurance companies, why are the malpractice rates so high? Because when you prescribe a toxic chemical pharmaceutical poison to a living organism, a dead chemical to a living organism, what is the only thing that you will get as a result? Will you get life out of that, or will you get death out of that? Death. How can you put death into life and get life? Impossible. So the insurance companies know this. You know, with the 5G stuff coming out here soon, that we've got a class in probably a month or whatever coming up, you guys don't want to miss this. You know, the insurance companies won't cover the wireless carriers because they know the 5G is killing people? How many lawsuits would that be? So think of that the same way. People get out of medical school They can't. How many people do you see getting out of medical school starting up private practice? Why? Because they can't afford the malpractice insurance. So they start with a group or an HMO or a hospital or a managed care facility or something like that. Does that make sense? So you have to understand, when a medical professional and they have a license that allows them to do these two things, and you're going to them and saying, well, I don't want these two things. Well, then why are you coming to me? That's by law and by license. If they don't give you that drug, they can get in trouble. So we won't spend too much more time on this. But there are about 900,000 MDs in the US. There are 10 or 15 million worldwide. There are 4-year undergraduate degrees, 4 years of medical school, followed by specialty training, internships, residencies, things like that. Just to give you an idea, there are 141 medical schools currently, right now, with more being built. 141. Okay? So that's MDs. Okay? Doctors of osteopathic medicine, or doctors of osteopathy. DOM is a doctor of Oriental medicine, which are licensed in certain places too. So doctor of osteopathic medicine, to be clear, is not a DOM, it's just a DO. DOM is doctor of Oriental medicine. Did I say that Oriental the first time? Doctors of osteopathy, DOs, and then DOM is doctors of Oriental medicine. I may have misspoken on that. DO, what does DO mean? Doctors of osteopathic medicine. What does osteopathy mean? Osteopathy means, osteo means bone, pathy means what? Disease. So osteopathy means doctor of bone disease. What is allopathy? Like a medical doctor, what does allopathy mean? Nobody knows this. You need to know this. Allopathy. Doctor, allo means same, pathy means what? Disease. Doctor of the same disease. Allopathic medicine, you'll hear that referred to. Allopathic medicine, what is, you see how that fills in the blank? Does that make sense? So osteopathic means bone disease, right, or suffering, right? Allopathic could mean suffering the same suffering. Allo, same, pathy, suffering, same suffering. No. So founded in the late 1800s, there was a guy named Andrew Taylor Still who kind of got disenfranchised with the whole medicine thing. And he said, you know, he approached this guy named D.D. Palmer. Anybody know who D.D. Palmer was? Well, I'll just tell you the story then. D.D. Palmer was the founder of chiropractic. Chiropractic had been around since the Chinese, ancient Egyptian. I mean, you see hieroglyphics with these guys walking on each other. I mean, it's pretty much laying on of hands. What was older than a doctor's hands fixing someone? What was older than me putting energy into your body or putting energy into your shoulder or your neck or your back? What's older than that? What type of medicine is older than that? Anybody?
Embalming people?
Is there anything? Yeah. That might be the only. Yeah, embalming. Yeah. What's older than the hands of someone else? Saying, oh, you sprained your ankle. Here, let's hold it together. What's older than the hands of another person? Nothing. Right? Isn't that the first healing instrument ever created? Right? So in China and Egypt and these ancient societies, we've got, we know that they were touching and healing. There were healers back then. There were doctors back then that knew anatomy. And, then you go fast forward into Greek times and Roman times, and you've got Hippocrates, and then you've got the anatomists, and you've got all these people that dissected and learned, Michelangelo, and you've got all these people in the Renaissance time that were painting pictures and studying every muscle, So Andrew Taylor Still was, in the 1800s, he was kind of getting disenfranchised with medicine. Same guy, same time, D.D. Palmer, who founded chiropractic, this was 1800s, but D.D. went from a long time back and said, man, this is the Russian bone setters, 200 years ago, or, lumberjacks. And D.D. said, well, let's codify this, let's systematize this, let's make this a career, let's make this like, this is health, this is whole, this is real. So D.D. Palmer was founding and kind of systematizing chiropractic in the late 1800s. Andrew Taylor Still, he and Andrew Taylor Still were contemporaries. Andrew Taylor Still said, I see the value in drugs. They have their place. This was before emergency medicine was ever involved, okay? So D.D. said, you're out of your mind. If you prescribe one drug, you'll prescribe them all. You'll be sucked into the allopathic field, and you'll never be distinguishable from them from that point on. He said, you can go your own way. We're doing the by hand only thing, which chiropractic, what does chiropractic mean? Does anybody know? Chiro means what? Hand. And what does practic mean? Practice by hand. Practice by hand. That's what chiropractic means. So Dee said, we're going to go the natural side of things. No drug, no surgery. You can go that right way if you want, AT Still, and you can found Andrew Taylor Still University, which I think is in Missouri somewhere, and that's the first DO school, right? What happened later on? What happened with Andrew Taylor Still? Did they get absorbed? Do you know the difference between MDs and DOs today? They're practically the same thing. I used to work for the hospital, and people would call in and say, I need a medical referral. I want a doctor, I want an allergist, or I want, who's someone who's around here within 20 miles who takes Blue Cross Blue Shield and who is an internist, or I want a family practice person, or I want a pediatrician for my kid. Or sometimes they would call in, maybe once out of every 100 times, they would call in and say, I want a DO. I'd say, okay, there are very few of them. Even for the hospital I worked for, very few. Very few. There'd be 50 MDs for every DO. I mean, it's probably about the same now. Could be different. That was not that long ago. But DOs, basically they got absorbed into the medical profession. They were medical doctors now. And so DOs practice this thing called, the only difference basically between them is they're considered a little bit more holistic, right? And they have this other thing called osteopathic manipulative medicine. What is OMM? What is OMM? Anybody? Say that louder. It's kind of like chiropractic. Where did Andrew Taylor Still get that? Maybe from hanging out with DD? Huh. Because he saw the value in chiropractic. Andrew Taylor Still, back in the late 1800s, say, man, you guys are ripping people's heads off. This is hardcore. You're turning the nervous system on. You're stimulating the blood flow. You're stimulating the ligaments, the tendons, the lymph nodes. You're stimulating the organs. This is hardcore. Nobody's doing this. But you're missing one thing. You need the drugs. And Dee said, you're smoking crack. You're nuts. If you prescribe one, you'll prescribe them all. Now, fast forward, that was 1895. Chiropractic Founders Day is coming up, what's today, 16th? 2 days. Chiropractic Founders Day is in 2 days. Fast forward 130 years, almost, and here we are. And nobody now knows the difference between MDs and DOs, basically. And here's the other thing. Chiropractic schools, there are a couple of them, last I knew, that were looking at actually putting in programs so that the doctors of chiropractic can prescribe medications. Whose idea do you think that was? And where are they getting the funding for that? Pharmaceuticals. There are actual doctors of chiropractic who are fighting for prescriptive rights. Nuts. Nuts. Do we need more people writing prescriptions for drugs? End of story. Well, but then you could take them off their drugs. Then you could get them off the opioids. Okay, so let me get this straight. You're going to go through a pharmaceutical program funded by the pharmaceutical companies to get the right to legally pull people off of their product. How long do you think that's going to last? That makes no sense. Makes absolutely no sense. So these chiropractors who, brother, I'll go head to head with you right now. Any of these chiropractors who are thinking we need prescriptive rights, call me up. We're going to have a talk. We will have a public debate, brother. We will throw down, and it'll be friendly, don't get me wrong, but let's just talk about how this is going to work for you. It makes absolutely no sense. And I know some very intelligent people. I know triple doctorate. I know people who are doctors of osteopathy, doctors of chiropractic, and naturopathic doctors all at once. They've done all 3 doctorate programs. There are many of them. One of my mentors, one guy that I consider a mentor, but still, he does prescriptions. Well, no, he doesn't want to do prescriptions, but who pays him to do prescriptions? Why does he have to do prescriptions? By law. If you don't, you got to be off the grid, and you got to not take insurance, and nobody knows who you are. For the most part. So DOs got osteopathic manipulative medicine from chiropractic and went their own way. And now who is fighting to get adjusting rights? Who wants to be able to adjust people? Close. Who's kind of chiropractic and they fight, I don't too much, but who fights with chiropractors more so than anybody else? Physical therapists. They're coming for the adjusting rights because the chiropractors are afraid to touch people. A lot of chiropractors are afraid to touch people. How do I know? I hear people come in all day long. Hey, nobody adjusts me like you. I went to a chiropractor for 5 years and they used the little, they call it the clicker thing. I go, the activator? They go, yeah. But what did you just do? So that's an adjustment. That's chiropractic. It's by hand. It's ancient.
Why is that?
Why is what?
Why they don't like to touch?
Many reasons. There is valid. There can be some good reasons to use an activator. You can use an activator on a baby. It's a very focused, very precise adjustment. You can use activators on babies. You can use activators on older people who have more brittle bones. You can use activators in the belly of the muscle to turn on and turn off the muscle fibers. There's a lot of good reasons to use that, but to have that be your only tool and to not manually adjust people is to short them. So there's reasons to have it, but it's not the only thing to do. Like I have a very similar instrument called an adjuster, and it's got a two-prong thing, and I can use that on places that I can't get into with my hands, or if somebody's really, really big. They've got some rolls or something, I can't get in there. So I don't use it very often. As a matter of fact, I haven't pulled it out probably in 6 months. I just like, hey, let's lay some hands on the sick. How about that? It says lay hands on the sick, not lay machines on the sick. Right? That's good. Write that down. Somebody write that down.
That's a biblical endorsement.
That is a biblical endorsement. Thank you, sir. Yes, it is. Divine Design, Natural Health. I had somebody, I handed them a card at the conference over the weekend. And I handed her a card and she said, "Oh, you're Christian." I said, "How can you tell?" I said, "Yeah. Is it obvious?" She said, "Oh, a name like that?" I said, "I didn't think of it. How could I have thought of that?" Okay, so Andrew Taylor Still, who became disillusioned with medicine, he believed that blood was supreme, okay, and felt that the spinal misalignments interfered with the body's expression of health. Do spinal misalignments interfere with the body's expression of health?
No.
How's that?
Spinal adjustments.
Spinal misalignment. Can spinal misalignments interfere with the body's expression of health?
Yes.
How could they not? I was watching a documentary a little while ago. I'd forgotten about this. I was watching a documentary on Netflix. It was called Obesity, The Autopsies. And it was an autopsy of a very obese individual. And they were cutting around on the inside of the abdominal cavity. And they said, there's this ligament that is a massive piece of fascia, and it's attached to all the organs. It actually holds all of the organs in place. It's a thick bag of fascia that holds all the organs in place. They said it's anchored up and down the entire human spine. And I thought, I forgot about that. In all my anatomy classes, I forgot about that. So when you adjust someone's spine, are you changing the neurology of their organs by moving that ligament, which is innervated by neurons? Now you see the power of the oldest healing profession on planet Earth? Different, isn't it? All of your organs are held in place by that one ligament that spreads from the spine and wraps around your entire abdominal, pelvic, and chest cavity, and all of your organs. Makes crack my back and snap my neck sound a little disrespectful, doesn't it? Okay, so moving on with this. So spinal misalignments interfered with the body's expression of health. How could they not? Have you ever seen someone with really, really, really bad spinal with posture? Are they healthy or are they sick? When you have somebody hunched over, does it compress their lungs? Does it decrease their volume of breathing? How could it not? So if it decreases the size of their lungs, what's it doing to the rest of their spine? What's it doing to that misalignment in the spine? What else is it doing? And we won't get into all the, I'm out on the left or out on the right. We won't get into all that. I just adjust you. I let your body figure it out. I don't care what adjusts. Is it C4? Is it C7? Is it T2? Is it L5? I don't care. What's it matter? That only matters if you're doing insurance. They got to have a number that goes with that. They got to have a number that goes with that lumbar vertebra that you adjusted. I don't care. I just adjust you in your body. Who decides what adjusts, me or your body? Your body. Who's smarter, me or your body? Thank you. He developed osteopathic manipulation to correct the misalignments of the spine. So in the U.S., osteopathic medicine it's all 50 states. It's prescription of drugs and surgery. They are now indistinguishable from medical doctors. I did not write this. This was straight out of some stuff that I was doing some research on months ago. They're now indistinguishable from medical doctors and specialize in similar manners. In Europe, osteopaths don't prescribe or perform surgery, but they use osteopathic manipulation frequently. Just to give you an example, there are 900,000 MDs in the United States. There's 74,000 DOs. Okay? And opposed to the 141 medical schools, MD schools in the United States, there are about 34 osteopathic schools. So about almost a fourth, a little bit more than a fourth outnumbered. We won't get too far into chiropractic, but the two big premises of chiro is self-healing, self-regulating, digestion, breathing, heart, your heart beating, all that. And the nervous system is the master controller of the body. Those are the two big premises of chiropractic. The body is a self-healing, self-regulating organism, and that the nervous system runs it all. Would anybody in here, would you disagree with any of that? The body's self-healing, self-regulating, and the nervous system runs it all, right? Now, going back to osteopathic manipulative medicine, if chiropractors are into the spine, what are medical doctors into? Well, I mean, if we understand that the nervous system runs everything, what is it that medicine would say is the most important part of the body? Huh? Who said that? Blood. Why? Where are the drugs going? How do you get the drug from point A to point B? Blood, right? How do you what's the fastest entryway into the human body? Huh? Through a vein? Yep. Through a vein. Is that faster than breathing? Millions of times. So the blood, what does that tell you?
Well, the life is in the blood.
Life is in the blood. There's an actual class on Facebook a little while ago that we did called The Proof is in the Poke, Life is in the Blood. A little bit of it's about functional blood chemistry and how that works versus pathological blood chemistry. But it's also about some things that you might want to know about if you have kids. We won't get into that right now. But there's two broad types of chiropractors. There's limited scope people that just do neck pain and back pain and headache and stuff like that. And then there's full spectrum people. Nutrition, fitness, psychological stuff. Homeopathy, we won't get too far into. There are some doctors of homeopathy. Developed in the 1700s, German physician. What we'll talk about with homeopathy is basically homeopathy is a system of medicine or a system of herbal and botanical medicine that is able to exhibit symptoms. If this substance was to make you sick, if we did a little bit of that substance at a very, 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 very high dilution, it would fix that sickness. Everybody get that? Your body, you're giving the body something to sample so that it can take out that sickness. We'll get more into that here in just a minute.
Are you saying that's valid or not valid?
Absolutely valid. We use it. Yeah, absolutely. And we'll explain more of it here in a minute. Naturopathic doctors, they basically naturopathy, or when people say it's natural, naturopaths, I hear that. It's actually, the term is naturopaths because it's naturopathic medicine. It's a natural. Basically, when you're saying naturopathy, it is a distinct health profession. It is, you can go to school to be a naturopathic doctor at ND, but they identify, basically the tenets of it is they identify and remove obstacles to healing and recovery. They stimulate the body's inherent healing process, and they incorporate nutrition, herbal medicine, sometimes hydrotherapy. What is hydrotherapy? Anybody? Water. So like enemas, colonic hydrotherapy, stuff like that, right? There are 2,000 naturopaths in the U.S. and Canada. How many medical doctors were there? 900,000. There were 141 schools, right? And there are 74,000 DOs. There are 2,000 naturopaths in the U.S. Like what we do, I know, right? Shaking her head. What we do here with nutrition, as far as nutrition response testing goes, there are about 700-800 of us in the United States, or I should say in the world, because that as far as nutrition response testing goes, nutrition response testing is a very small sector. As far as people that do chiropractic and detox and everything that we do, I don't know that there are that many. But we'll talk more about that. So to review, holistic. So if we were going to determine, and this is what you need to understand. When you're talking to your friends and you're talking to your family, there is so much confusion on this topic. So much confusion. Would you agree? Where does all the confusion come from? Is there good reason for you to stay confused? If there were powers that be, there's good reason for the powers that be for you not to really want to understand this, which is why at the end of every year, at the beginning of every year, you'll hear the same things. Fish oil causes cancer. Stay away from fish oil. Or it's not been proven that red meat is good for you. Stop eating, don't eat red meat, do eat red meat, don't eat eggs, do eat eggs. And I hear this all day long. Well, I'm told I shouldn't drink water in plastic bottles, and other people tell me that I shouldn't drink water at all. I should just drink Diet Coke. There's so much confusion. You laugh, but I'm telling you, it's crazy. There's so much confusion. So what is the truth? How do you sift through it all? That's what we do.
And that's not by accident.
That is, sir, that is not by accident.
Not by design.
That is done by design.
Design divine.
That is not a divine design. That is a diabolical design. Yeah, that is not done by accident. You are correct. Any type of confusion, we know the author of that, right? There is no doubt. If you're confused about something, just stop for a minute and go, okay, I'm hearing these people say this. I'm hearing these people say this. Who stands to make a whole lot of money? Now, that's one way to go about it. Who stands to make a whole lot of money? Here's the other way to go about it. These people are saying this. These people are saying this. Which one makes logical, physiological, scientific, which one, not just what studies am I reading, which one makes logical sense? Does that make sense?
That's the one to go by.
That's the common, huh?
That's the one to go by.
Yeah. That's the common, like you hear people say common sense isn't so common anymore. I'm not calling anybody out. I'm just saying, here's one example. If we know that this chemical is toxic, and then I say, here, go ahead and eat that. Does putting it in your body, logically, does putting that toxic chemical that is known to destroy humans and laboratory animals, if I give you that and then you put it in your mouth, does the action of putting it in your mouth change it from a toxic poison to an okay poison? Does it change it to safe for your body? No, logic says, you can't make that up. Logic says, if it's a poison outside the body, it's a poison inside the body. Putting it in your body does not change the status of its poison nature. Does that make sense? That, however, is what you and your family is being asked to do every day of your lives. That is why we're doing this class, so that you can say, wait. This makes sense. This is logical. It's biblical. I don't stand to make any money from telling you, hey, I'm just telling you, don't take the drugs. If you want to come and I'll help you get past this and this and this, yeah, there's a price for that, of course. But my job is to get rid of you. Like doctors back in the old day, they would only get paid if they kept the village healthy. If the village was sick, they said, we're not paying you. Do your job. Right? So they had a reason. They had a vested interest in your health. Do I have a vested interest in your health? I want you healthy. Why? What am I telling you to do right now? Go tell people. Go tell people. There's a new sheriff in town, brother. Come here. You're getting kicked out of your pediatrician's office? Talk to somebody today. Getting kicked out of your pediatrician's office? Welcome home. You don't like your allergist anymore? Bring it. You don't want to take your dog to the vet to get the heartworm anymore? Bring it. You don't want the root canal surgery? Guess what? I'm not throwing dentists under the bus. I'm just saying, your teeth are made of what? Minerals. Which are bone. Well, yeah. And bones are made of what? Minerals. Right. So where do your bones and your teeth come from? The food you eat. Who's teaching you what food to eat? Who? Who's teaching you? Are the gastroenterologists teaching you what food to eat? Are the dentists teaching you what food to eat? The TV is teaching you what food to eat. Boom. Drop that bomb, right? So what if I said if you came here, you wouldn't need an OBGYN, you wouldn't need a dentist, you wouldn't need a pediatrician, you wouldn't need a psychiatrist, you wouldn't need a vet. You think I'd save you a little bit of money? What if you come here as somebody who all of a sudden starts realizing, I don't need my insurance premiums anymore? How much would that save you in a year? If you went to the HR person at work and said, hey, listen, instead of taking that money out of my check pre-tax, I got an idea. How about you give me a $400 a month raise by not taking $200 out of my paycheck every 2 weeks? Guess what we just made you? We made you $4,800 a year. Did I do the math right on that, or did I do the math right on that?
No, there's a system in place. You will not get away.
Yeah, there's a system. Yeah, totally. So do you see where I'm going with this, though? Like, what if you could avoid some of this stuff, right? What if you could? There's a testimonial that's getting ready to get posted on Facebook in a day or two. One of our patients that said, I'm not bouncing from specialist to specialist anymore. I got one doctor. I said, great. Turn on the camera. Now say that again. She said, I don't go from specialist to specialist anymore. How many of you know of people who go from a hepatologist to a urologist to a pulmonologist to a rheumatologist to a cardiologist to a neurologist? How many of you know people? Everyone in this room. And what do? They spend their days standing in line at Walgreens, right? They go to Chick-fil-A and get a $15 Happy Meal, right?
That's good, that's true.
Then they come to me and they say, well, I can't afford good food. Had some guy last week said, well, he said, I'm testing him, and he says, and I don't mean this in a bad way, but he says, well, I'm going to have to come out of retirement to afford you. I just wanted to stop and go, who told you that? That's rather offensive in a way. Because why would you think that? How much have you spent on your health care so far? Oh, 40, 50, 60,000. Oh, really? So you're going to have to come out of retirement to afford me? Oh, brother, we got to have a talk here. That's the mentality, though. Does that make sense? They will pay premiums and deductibles and copays and prescription costs, $10,000 deductible per year on top of the premiums that they already paid. They pay a premium to have an entrance to the Good Old Boys Club. Then once they're in the Good Old Boys Club, then they still have to pay out of pocket before the Good Old Boys will pay for them to be in the club. Is that stupid or is that stupid?
Well,
And-
it's the education that we have been brought up with.
Absolutely.
And
Right.
you're saying something there that makes sense to me.
Right.
But when you're thinking it in a broad sense, how many people sit and listen to you and they say, oh, this guy is making sense.
Right. Well,
A lot of people in their mind they say, but that's not what I was taught.
right.
So
Yeah.
you have to break the cycle for people to really understand
Yep.
that what they're feeding us with is really not true.
Right. Well, why would they feed you with things that are not true?
They're benefiting you.
Who's benefiting from it?
They're benefiting from it.
Absolutely. So if you're thinking, well, like when I got out of college, I thought I have to have insurance. What if I get in a car accident?
Can I share a story with you?
You can in just a second. I thought, what if I get in a car accident? I gotta have insurance. Had somebody said, well, that's why you have car insurance. Oh yeah. But I thought, well, what if I slip? What if I fall? What if I'm not in my car and I slip and fall? I got to have insurance. So one medical bill will crush me. So I went and worked for some place that I hated. Why? The golden handcuffs. The golden handcuffs kept me at a job that I hated. Because I thought, what if I fall? Is that fear or is that faith?
Fear.
It's fear. Was I in the wrong? Yep. So how many people think I have to keep taking this drug? I have to keep doing this. The doctors told me I'm 90% blocked. Why did the doctor say 90% blocked and not 10% open?
You remember that.
Write that one down. Why'd they say, oh, it's
More fear, they're putting more fear into you.
they're putting more fear in you. Why your lungs are only operating at 30%.
You keep on taking that drugs.
Right. They always give you the negative side of it. Why? You got a lifelong customer. You get the kids are on board early. You got lifelong customer for lifelong.
But you're going to take this
Forever. There's never any plan to take you off those drugs. I assure you. I assure you there's no plan to take you off those drugs. So if what I'm saying makes logical sense, and what I'm saying makes physiological sense, and what I'm saying makes clinical observable sense to you in all of your experience in life, and you go, Yeah, that makes sense. My aunt so-and-so went on a drug. It just went up in dose. They never took her off it. Then once it got to a dangerous dosage, what'd they do?
Can't do anything more for you.
Well, yeah, or they slip you over to another drug, right? And then she had a reaction. And then we had to call the hospital. And then we had to call the ambulance. And then now she's in the nursing home. And then, see the progression here? Why would that happen? This is designed. Do not deceive yourselves. This is designed, people. And if you don't like what I'm saying, I'm sorry. I'm telling you the truth, and you're either going to hear it from me or some other dude down the street, because people are waking up. And if I don't wake you up, your blood's on my hands. It ain't going to happen. Follow me? I'm here for a reason. I'm here to tell you the truth. If you love it, great. If you don't like it, great. Get out of the way, because I'm moving down the road. I'm going to keep telling more people. My mission to you is to inspire you to tell more people. To go, wait a minute, this makes logical sense. Why have I never heard this? This makes sense. We're heading towards a huge, huge, huge blow up. We are heading towards a meltdown of the medical system. We're heading towards a meltdown of the economic system. And you think your insurance premium is going to matter? When they're in charge of your health care and you're dying over here and there's a 40-year-old or a 30-year-old or a 20-year-old over here and Medicare makes a decision between who's going to live and who's going to die first? Older one. Why? Yeah, right. So now nursing homes, I mean, how's that going to work out? I preach all day on this. So here's the review. Definition of holistic. So this is very, very, very simple. If you hear the word holistic, just think whole body. They're thinking of the whole body. Okay? They're not thinking of, here's your high blood pressure, so here is your hypertension medication. Blood pressure is now your blood pressure, whether you're 150 pounds overweight or whether you're a 98-pound weakling, your blood pressure is now a disease that we have to medicate. Some people just have higher blood pressure. As you age, your blood pressure goes up. Did you know that? Does anybody tell you that before they put you on 5 hypertension meds?
Yeah.
Oh, you know what? Your blood pressure is a little elevated. It does that naturally. Your blood pressure goes up naturally as you age. So think of this, holistic. If you hear the word holistic, just think the word whole. Whole with a W-H-O-L-E. Whole like in holistic. So holistic, boom. Just think whole body. Holistic. It's just an adjective saying whole body. Okay, think of it that. Review, homeopathy. It's a system of natural health that addresses a disease especially by the administration of very, very, very small, minute dosages of a remedy that would in a larger amount produce a sickness in a healthy person. So homeopathy is just, think of this. Homeopathy, just think highly diluted substance. It's not homeopathy, it's homeopathy. So think highly diluted liquid. Highly diluted liquid. Okay? Does that make sense? Some people would call those tinctures. Similar disease. Yeah. So similar to the disease is what that word would mean. Okay? Now, naturopathic. Real quick. Naturopathic healthcare is a distinct, I'm not putting myself out there as a naturopathic doctor. I'm not an ND. If I wanted to be an ND, I would have gone to ND school. But with chiropractic, you can adjust people. And that is the most powerful, most electrical thing. And you combine that with nutrition, and you are a force to be reckoned with. Do most chiropractors do nutrition? Yeah. Why? Most chiropractors do nutrition? The answer is no. Why? Anybody?
They're not trained.
They're not trained. That's one. Where would you have to train in order to do nutrition? Wouldn't you learn it in school? Unfortunately, no. I thought you did. I thought you would. You don't. You learn a little bit of nutrition, but it's all pharmaceutically based. Chiropractors. Why do most chiropractors not do nutrition? That's part of it, Heidi. They're not trained. What else?
Too much trouble.
It is a lot of trouble. It's your own time, your own dime. Absolutely. What's the other big reason? Most chiropractors do not do insurance. Do not do. Say that? Insurance. Does insurance pay for nutrition? Nope. Do most chiropractors take insurance? Yep.
Some do.
Some don't, yeah, some don't.
Most. Most, though, most do. Most are in network. Most. Yep, absolutely. So naturopathic stuff, think of naturopathic. I'm just giving you a really quick way for you to know this. In the future, naturopathic healthcare is a distinct profession emphasizing prevention, treatment, and optimal health through the use of therapeutic methods and substances that encourage an individual's inherent self-healing process. So naturopathic medicine is all about prevention, treatment, and optimal health. Does that make sense? Oop. Naturopathic. That's an A. Naturopathic. Pathic. Prevention and treatment. Treatment. What branch of medicine deals with prevention? What branch of everyday medicine? Anybody?
No.
Anybody? None? Yeah, none. Prevention. Preventing disease. You can get in trouble for saying preventing disease. You ever turn, I'm not kidding, you turn the little thing over, the little supplement that says this has not been evaluated by the Food and Drug Administration to treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Those are things you get in trouble for saying. You read through my website, you won't see the word, I treat this. You will not see the word, I cure this. You'll see the words avoid. Very cleverly worded, thank you very much. But holistic, whole, homeopathy, think highly diluted liquid, okay, and naturopathic. Prevention, treatment, optimal health. So when people say, are you holistic? Yes. Are you naturopathic? Yes. I'm not a naturopathic doctor. Or do I practice naturopathic means? Yes. So for the sake of clarity and all that, we are a completely holistic approach. We use a completely holistic approach, meaning whole body approach. We'll just say whole body. Okay? We use a completely holistic approach, whole body approach, consisting of naturopathic methods dealing with prevention, treatment, optimal health, right? Through the use of homeopathic remedies, which is one of the many, 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 many tools that we use. We don't just use herbs. We don't just use homeopathy. And we don't just use botanicals. And we don't just use stem cells. And we don't just use food. And we don't just use animal products. We use it all. So,
Say that back to you. It's a completely holistic approach consisting of naturopathic methods through the use of homeopathic remedies.
and,
You said?
yeah, absolutely. And then whole food nutrition, botanicals, and all the other stuff that we use. Whole food nutrition, botanicals, drainage remedies, cellular organotherapy, which is a acceptable word for saying stem cells. Cellular organotherapy is another way of saying stem cells. Just when you say stem cells, people automatically think dead babies. So I say cellular organotherapy, just so it's a better way of saying it. But you're using you're not using dead babies.
It's very expensive.
Dead babies? They're super expensive. I'm just kidding. I'm totally kidding. What, the stem cells can be, the injectable ones, but see, would we ever inject anything into you? No, why? There's two things that are not in my license. The only two things I can't do, which are what? Drugs and surgery. Those are the only two things I can't do. And why? Because I don't want to. There are a lot of other people that are better at those, and I'll just do this part. I'll just do the prevention. I'll do the, hey, let's rebuild you. Got in a car accident? I'm so sorry to hear that. But now let's rebuild that body because we know how to rebuild it. How much more valuable is that? To be able to rebuild that body. So the most excellent human body shop, now you get it, right? Medicine's putting chemicals in your blood to affect a chemical reaction to block, suppress, or inhibit. In other words, to steal, kill, or destroy. Where have you heard that before?
Jesus.
Huh, really? Is that right? So medicine's putting chemicals in your blood to affect and force a biochemical, energetic chemical change in your blood. We are rebuilding your body from the inside out. The way that people did it for 6,000 years with plants and animals. Right? Dust of the earth. So does that make sense? Yes. So we went on a little overview of other healthcare professions. We went on a little trip through holistic, homeopathic, naturopathic, herbal definitions. And now I'm going to say, why is it the most excellent human body shop? Well, we got a few reasons. Number one, it's safe. Nothing we do can harm you. Is there anything we do here that can harm you? Kristen, is there anything has anybody ever been harmed? I suppose if you were a kid and you went around with a fork sticking it in a light socket, maybe, but that would be them harming themselves. Can't harm, right? It might adjust you and maybe get a little sore. Number two, it's effective. You will begin to notice improvements immediately. So how many people do you need to tell about what we're doing? Everybody. Is there anyone that you shouldn't tell about what we're doing? Maybe if you don't like them. Don't look at me like that, Danielle. Don't look at me like that. You're looking at me like you don't like me. Number three, it's empowering. Well, before we get into empowering, I'll read these at the end. Empowering. You will learn here things that will forever change your life, your family, and your future. Is that more important than an insurance premium? Well, but my insurance won't pay for the supplements. Okay, next. Number four, valuable. We will offer the most cost-effective, cutting-edge healthcare you will likely ever find. We had a review and update with somebody today, a progress report at the end of the 12 weeks. And we went right through, there's like psychiatric, there was some stuff there that was, she'd have been to a psychiatrist, she'd have been to a gastroenterologist, she'd have been to a rheumatologist, she'd have been to a pulmonologist. I mean, the list just went on and on and on. How much money did we save her on not having to bounce from specialist to specialist? So it's valuable, cost-effective healthcare. And here's the kicker. Number five, it's ancient. This is truly traditional healthcare. It's natural. It's biblical. You can't beat it. Why would you want to, right? And it is ancient methods. This is not alternative medicine. This is ancient medicine. This is ancient. They call us complementary and alternative while they've got the moniker conventional and traditional. How long have vaccines been around? How long have bypass surgeries been around? Anybody? 60, 80, 100, 120 years? How long have herbs and food and plants and animals and light and water and heat and electricity, everything I use here, everything we use here, how long has that been around? Been around since the dawn of time, right? So that being said, we will save you money on your OBGYNs, your vets, your pediatricians, your allergists, your dentists, all of that. How do I know? Right here, and then we're done. Testimonials. This came from somebody last week. Feeling of, how were you before? Feeling of urgent urination. If the need to urinate was present, that was a problem, especially if I was out in the field working, no restroom near, very embarrassing and stressful. Dr. Spradlin, with bladder adjustments, how many knew you could adjust bladder? Uterus? You got a prolapsed uterus? Bring it. Bring it. Bring your uterus right over here. Bring your bladder. How many people are going to tell you that? Get that uterus over here. Dr. Spradlin, with bladder adjustments and whole food supplements, has helped me amazingly with alleviating the urgency to urinate. How many of you know that might be a problem? That would be bad, wouldn't it? I no longer feel like I cannot hold it and have time to leisurely find a restroom or even can wait if a restroom is not available. I'm so thankful for the knowledge and help. Another person. Cold allergy symptoms presented. We have a class, by the way. Kristen, can you throw me a schedule for the next quarter? Because I want to go through what all of those are going to be. Cold allergy symptoms presented. Running nose, headache, congestion, tired, overall feeling bad, nose completely stopped up on the right side. They came in and it was an acute visit. They came in, they just couldn't breathe. Thank you. I'm going to go through this in just a minute. Dr. Spradlin gave me 2 homeopathic tinctures in 24 hours, 50% better, 48 hours, 75% better in 3 days. I was feeling back to normal with residual drainage. I'm elated. Thank you. So can we handle your urgent care stuff? Yep. I had been taking bioidentical hormone compounds for 10 years, seeing more and more melasma on my neck, melasma, discoloration, stuff like that, and dependent on the progesterone to help me fall to sleep. How many of you know anyone on HRT?
What is that?
Hormone replacement therapy. So when guys get low T and their testosterone starts to tank, what do? They see a commercial And they say, oh, I got low T. I got to get my testosterone back up. But exogenous testosterone shrinks what organs? Testicles. Everybody, a lot of people know that, right? Shrinks other organs too in your brain. We won't get into that, but yeah, you'll have higher testosterone on a blood lab, but you'll have microscopic testicles. Interesting. But why are his hormones going down? As you age, why is a male's testosterone going down?
Produce less hormone.
Is it because millions and billions of years of evolution? Why? Why would the hormones go down? God designed them that way. Why? As he ages, what's happening to his estrogen though? Yeah. And a woman's doing the exact opposite. It's by design. But we're trying to mess it up because you look on a blood lab and you go, oh, your testosterone's at rock bottom, man. We got to put you on some testosterone. That's what's happening with the women with HRT. Okay? So she was on progesterone to help her fall asleep, both progesterone and estradiol. It cost her $135 a month. I forgot about this. 2 hormones cost her $135 a month. Now, after 4 months, I'm off all hormone replacement therapy. My melasma on my neck has diminished by 80%, getting better each day. I feel energetic and do not depend on anything to help me sleep. No hot flashes. I'm happy, so thankful. Shoulder pain, felt curved for years, caused discomfort. One adjustment, Dr. Brett felt like it straightened out my shoulder for the first time in years. Could noticeably tell a difference. I'm so excited about it. I thought I read that one. Maybe I read that one last week. Oh, this one I talked about last week. CPAP machine. How many of you know people on CPAPs? How many of you, this is not something that had occurred to me, how many of you know that the sleeping habits of a person on a CPAP, the sleeping habits of their spouse changed dramatically? Did you know this? How many of you knew that on a CPAP, you can't go camping? Where are you going to plug that thing in? Hadn't thought about it. You know, on a CPAP, cuddling with your wife becomes a problem. I hadn't thought about this until I was talking to this guy after he wrote this testimonial. I hadn't thought about it. You got to lay on your back. There's no cuddly with the wifey when you're on a CPAP, right? CPAP machine. I've used machine for more than 15 years. In the process of 4 months slowly coming off the machine, I'm now no longer using it and I feel great. No headaches, have plenty of energy. I can go camping now. It's freedom personified.
Who's to blame for that?
Who's to blame? Who's to blame for the CPAP?
No. For your good results.
Oh, the good results. Well, we worked. Well, he did it. God healed, his body healed to the point where I told the story of this guy last week about the respiratory therapist that came in right after. Same guy, but that's just the written version of it. But who's to blame? He did all the work. I just helped along. I was a vessel. Feeling of, I just read that.
She's giving you a hard time, doesn't she?
Oh, I know. So, no, that's fine. That's fine. I'll give you a time here in a moment, sister. Okay, so just real quick. This right here, real quick, and then we're done. This is your new schedule for wellness workshops. I'm not sure. Are these in the folders?
No, those are not in folders.
Oh, we put them out on the front counter. Sign up. My traveling schedule is a little funky, so that's why we did this week and last week. Usually we do every other week. So if you look at October 7th, from October 7th out, they're all 2 weeks apart. My travel schedule is fine. What I was going to say about that is I want to just tell you so you can plan this. This is 3 months ahead of time, okay? October 7th is Women's Health. That's the very next one. That's like 3 weeks away. Reverse the curse. So if you know anyone with endometriosis, fibroids, ovarian cysts, hormone problems, thyroid problems, any of that, get them here. Does anybody in here know anybody with any of that? October 21st. Put your money where your mouth is. If you want to know how to afford the good stuff, we're going to be talking about food, some other technology that's available for you to be able to take advantage of the most powerful time in human history. There is so much technology out there for you to live and breathe and have energy and make your meals easily and affordably. But people sometimes, they think it's more work. But sitting in a restaurant waiting for your food for 35 minutes or going through a drive-thru, going through the 4-lane the 4-lane megaplex Cloverleaf parking lot that we call Chick-fil-A over here. Gosh, I'm loving that they're crushing McDonald's. I love that. But man, that's a Cloverleaf in a parking lot over there. I don't know what's going on. And aren't they building another one here in town? I thought I saw. Yeah. Don't get me started. November 4th, effects of 5G and EMFs. If there's nothing else on this list, brother, you got to know what's going on here. That's that. What is 5G? Anybody?
The telephone technology.
It's the new. It's 5th generation telephones, 5th generation wireless, and EMFs, electromagnetic field. You've heard of it. You've wondered about it. We sell radiation blocker devices for your phones because we know it's putting out radiation. You're holding something that's like 1,000,000 times worse than a microwave right next to your face. Okay, this is not a good thing. You see people walking around with the wireless earbuds? Oh yeah, this 5G thing is going to cause havoc. Okay, people are predicting. What they're predicting is sick, literally sickness. What they're predicting. So if you don't know anything about this, we will divulge a lot of information. So I can't tell you if you know people that have this disease or that disease. There are whole entire diseases coming that are new disease that people don't even know. Have you ever heard somebody say, "Yeah, I've got this buzzing in my leg, like when I feel my leg twitching. It's like a phone going off." Have you heard anybody say this? No, not yet. You will. You will. Effects of 5G and EMFs, November 4th. Okay, that is November 4th. We are going to cover a lot of information. November 18th, land of the free, home of the crazed. We are going to talk about the chemical imbalance, that ever-present, friendly chemical imbalance that everybody seems to have. Hormone imbalance, chemical imbalance, neurological imbalance. We're going to talk about that. So land of the free, home of the crazed. Why are anxiety drugs and depression drugs the #1 class of drugs in the United States? Everybody's on them, from young to old. You live in the most technologically advanced nation in recorded history, and you're sad.
Too bad.
Okay? So if you know anybody with ADD, OCD, ADHD, SAD, JFK, CIA, KGB, blown away, whatever. If you know anybody, land of the free, home of the crazed, depression, anxiety, Asperger's, autism, whatever, get their butts here. Does that make sense? December 2nd, if you build it, they won't come. Anybody know what that one's about? No, it's not about baseball. I saw your look. If you build it, they won't come. What season is it in the winter? According to CNN. Flu season. Is flu season hockey season? God, hockey. I've got the smartest patients on earth. You're not. You're right. Okay? If you build it, they won't come. In the winter, see how they get inside your head? In the winter, what season is it? What season do you prepare for in the winter? Flu season. In the spring, what season do you prepare for? Allergy season. See, it's a season. It's like people who bring in their food log and they say, "Oh, it's been a horrible. Oh, it's Christmas time. It's Christmas. Christmas is one day on the calendar, brother. This is October." They're already planning crap food from Halloween night to January 15th. It's Christmas. That's right. But it's the season, yeah. Okay. So the allergy season. How many of you have gotten rid of allergies or decreased allergies since you came here? Allergies. Thing of the past. So we're going to talk about allergies, we're going to talk about flu. And then the last one, December 16th, getting ready for New Year's, Christmas. Why purify? Why detoxify? Okay, we're going to talk about all of that. So, the most excellent human body shop. Any questions, comments, Facebook, cries of outrage, anything? Any answers? Any questions that we need to cover before we shut off and talk about the real stuff? The stuff we can't mention?
You wanted to say something.
Yes. Oh, yeah. What was your comment, sir? I'm sorry, I forgot about it.
No, you're talking about specialists.
Yes.
Well, I went to.
Oh, yeah, there you go. Talking to that microphone for me.
Yeah, I went to the dentist one day last week, and as he looked into my mouth, he told me, he said, "You have a teeth here, but I cannot take it out."
Why is that?
I said, "I just want you to fill the hole that is in it." He said, "I can't do that." I said, why? He said, well, I can't. I have to send you to a specialist.
To fix the hole in the tooth?
Yeah, well, he said it cannot be fixed. You have to take it out. But my regular dentist had told me a long time ago, try to save your tooth as much as you can.
Right.
So he said, I have to send you to a specialist. Once I heard the name specialist, in my mind, that's more money.
That's more money. Right.
You know?
Uh-huh.
And he told me, well, this is what we can do for you. We will, we'll put a crown on another teeth that need a crown, and we'll fill one. And that will be $5,400. I say, wow, that's wonderful. In my mind, you know?
400.
Yeah,
$5,400.
yeah, I said, that's wonderful.
Wow.
So I went back to my regular dentist, and he looked at it and he said, all right, I know what I'll do for you. So he did something for me, which bettered the situation.
I'm all ears.
Yeah, you know?
Yeah.
So the idea of, you talk about the specialist, is that you go to your doctor and they send you to this specialist because it's all by design.
A lot of it. Yeah.
Because this dentist say, I cannot do anything for you, but I'm going to send you to a specialist, which means you're going to pay me $5,500 for what I'm going to do for you, and then the specialist may charge you another $2,000 for whatever you're going to do for you. So yeah, it just is all by design. Yeah.
Well, yeah, if you know that's by design, then what do you know about premiums and deductibles and being in network and out of network and copays and all this? I mean, the system's rigged. The system's, I mean, it's not your friend. They say they're taking care of you. Are they? I don't know. Anything else? That was good. Good point. So So you saved some dollars. You saved some ducats on the $5,400. Okay.
I would never do it. I mean, I just wanted to figure out what was going on, but I would never do that. That's just crazy.
Yeah, I mean,
one crown and a fill-in for $5,400.
Right.
That's a lot of money.
Right.
Who have that?
Right.
Just in a hole?
Just for a tooth, I'd say, how much is it to pull it? But here's the deal: can you reverse cavities? Can you help tooth pain?
Sure.
Yeah, we just talked about it. Made of minerals. But when you leave your dentist's office, what's right there on the counter for you to grab on the way out? I wondered about that as a kid. I'm like, wait, you guys are telling me not to eat this. But then I come here every time and you got it on the table. I smell a rat. I wondered as a kid, man. I spent hours in a dental chair. Hours, half my life in a dental chair, it seemed like, was as a kid. Questions, comments, concerns, cries of outrage. Anything? We're going to shut the camera off, and then we'll do, if anybody here is new, we will do some tours, we'll do some giveaways, some free stuff, and then you can plan on, is anybody here planning on bringing anybody for October 7th? How about the back row here? Anybody? No. But everybody needs to know what we're doing here. The most excellent human body shop. We're combining the best of the best. We're doing the detox, we're doing the sauna, we're doing the laser, we're doing chiropractic, we're doing nutrition, we're doing whole food, we're doing botanicals, we're doing homeopathic stuff, holistic. There's nothing we can't fix as long as we get ahead of the curve, as long as we get ahead of the drugs and the surgery. Yes?
Yeah, well, I was invited by Rose.
Well, thank you, Rose.
And, I've been to chiropractor before.
Yeah.
What you're saying is just really music to my ears because
Perfect.
you don't. I consider you a doctor. That's how I always look at chiropractic.
Great. Thank you. I do too.
That's you don't hear that in the medical field.
No.
I mean, nobody teaches you that. Nobody wants you to be smart or educated in that sense because you're right. You talk about a lot of ancient stuff. Food was designed to keep us healthy.
Right.
Unfortunately, many of us today, we don't want to eat the food to keep us healthy.
Right.
We want the fast stuff.
Right.
You know, you go to the supermarket, you buy the food, you come home, you wash it, you prepare it, you cook it. It takes time. But if I run to Chick-fil-A,
That still takes time.
but I get it a little bit quicker. For some people.
For now.
For some people.
But in the future, when you're 36 visits of chemo, that takes a while. And you're going to specialist and specialist and specialist.
Yeah. So I think you're doing a good thing, although this is the first time I'm coming here, just educating people.
Well, good. Yeah. Yeah. Thank you.
If we go back to the beginning, I like to tell people when God created man, He gave them a diet. He gave them a diet to sustain them healthy for
Yep.
the rest of their life.
Right.
If we go back to that, we'll be healthy.
Yeah. And speaking of that too, and I'll close with this because people need to, I feel like for some reason, I feel like everybody needs to get this. See, people fight you on the diet thing quite a bit. Even in Cleveland, Tennessee, I know it's hard to, even in Cleveland, they'll fight another Christian on the diet thing and they'll say, well, yeah, but the Bible says you can eat whatever you want.
That's what
I say, you are partially correct there. The Bible does say you can eat any food. However, these preservatives and chemicals and artificial sweeteners are not food. No matter how hard you pray over it, brother, it ain't food. Paul never thought of a Snickers. It didn't exist. So you can pray over it all day long. You can dance and you can do a rain dance. You can call down thunder. You can do a prayer meeting, deliverance 101 course. You can do Dave Ramsey all day, and it ain't going to turn that Snickers bar into food. Does that make sense? That's good preaching, isn't it? Can I get an amen?
Even though I don't like it.
But you know,
Well, here, we're going to shut down.
talk a lot, but
Hold on one second. Hold that thought. We're going to shut down. So, Facebook, love you, mean it. We'll see you October 7th. That's the next one. Women's Health, Reverse the Curse. Bring people, tell people, send it, like it, share it, fax it, rename it, save it, do whatever you got to do. But we're going to be preaching thunder on October 7th. Dr. Brett Spradlin, Divine Design. Everybody say thank you. Thank you. Bye, Facebook.